of the human race. They
Mm.
want to get rid of the human race. They want to make us slaves and transhuman and mix us with robots. And they want to get
Mm.
rid of the human race, okay? Because we are a part of God. For some reason, God likes us very much, and humanity is a part of God.
Mm.
And they are trying to kill us all, not only here but there. And look at the COVID epidemic that happened, okay? They
Yep.
shut us down. They tried to shut us all down. Now I'm going to tell you about one man here in America
Mm.
who broke out, and he was the first man who broke out of it, out of this cycle.
Right.
This guy's name is Sean Feucht.
Okay.
Feucht. If you look him up on the internet, he's a gold mine of a person who
Mm.
broke out of the tyranny. The tyranny. Okay, what he said was, uh, in California,
Mm.
the governor said you cannot even sing in church
Mm.
because it would spread germs. You know, they use that for the excuse,
Okay.
because you have the mask on, but then you can't even sing because it spreads germs. Well, Sean, he's a worship leader, and he was also in the military, and he ran for for political office. He's just an
Right.
all arounder. He's an all
Right.
arounder person, okay? A real
Right. Right.
balanced all around person. Well, he said, wait a minute.
Right.
I've had enough of this. With his righteous anger, they went outside of the church.
Right.
And this is the outside of the church movement. The church went outside.
Right.
Okay. So he has been leading, it's called Let Us Worship. He started in
Mm.
California, and he went to all the state capitals of the world, of the United States. And he was just in India. I showed you.
Oh.
He was just in India the other day, and he's doing the
Oh. Okay.
same thing in India now. He's
Wow. Oh.
the
Wow.
Christians have left the building. The
Right.
Christians have
Right.
left the church buildings, and they've
Right.
gone to the streets because our
Wow.
message is the only one
Right. Right. What's his
against
name? You said.
all
What's his name?
odds. What?
What's his name? You said.
Sean, Sean,
Okay.
Feucht,
Okay.
Feucht, Sean
Okay.
Fitch, or just
Okay.
put in Let Us Worship, because you
Okay.
see,
Okay.
that's what he said to the governor. Let us worship. Let us
Right.
worship. We've got to worship. You can't stop us from worshiping. And when he started taking it to the streets, he
Hmm.
pulled thousands. Now he's got millions. He saved
Amen.
America. I'm not kidding
Amen.
you. He
Right.
is one of the forefront people that caused this election to turn around.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
I've got
Wow.
a whole
Wow.
list of other people, but he's my top one. Okay. And I
Right.
only have that little 5 minutes, so bye.
That's nice. That's nice. I got the website of this guy, Sean something, right? Nice.
Yeah, I know his last name is very hard. They call
In
it Feucht,
PH,
pronounced
PH.com,
Feucht.
PH.com. Nice.
And Donald Trump knows him. He
Okay.
goes up to
Okay.
Donald Trump's place in Mar-a-Lago and everything.
Nice. Nice.
And not too long ago, let me mention one more thing. There's this guy. His name is Lou, Lou
Mm.
Ingal, Lou Engle. Well,
Okay. Yeah, I heard the name. Yeah.
yeah, okay. He had just the other day 1 million women
Oh,
went to the capital of the United States and
right.
prayed all day and fasted all
Wow.
day.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And then there's more. There's people that are making breakthrough here in America.
Right.
I follow them on the internet, and I cheer them. I cheer them from afar because I
Hmm.
don't really go a lot of places, but anyway, I cheer them from right here.
Right, right, right. Wow, 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 wow. I think it's a crucial moment right now for America. I think with Trump coming out officially now the president, I think there can be a lot of things can actually happen. I think new platforms can
Absolutely.
come. A lot of leaders can rise, create a lot of platforms, and start restoring everything back to the basics. Wherever the
Hmm.
country has gone, I
And
think.
I can tell you more of them, Anil. Like, I'll give you my list, okay, of
Yeah,
people that
yeah,
are doing great over here with to build the countries back to what it
right,
was, and
right,
then
right.
you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get the list. Get the list. We can try to connect with them somehow, somewhere,
yeah,
somehow,
they're
and
real
then
busy and they're big wigs, so they don't.
big
I
wins.
don't know how to contact them, but anyway,
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, like America is the place. Seriously, I mean, like you guys have done it already earlier, and you can do it again. Yeah, yeah. I think I'm sure a lot of things are happening. I believe now it is again the new fresh wave that has come into US. I think if people can ride this wave and start creating stuff, platforms and all that, I believe you know
hmm
it can again last for next 60 years or so. If people can start creating something now, you know.
but the Democrats are wanting to start World War III to stop it.
Okay,
The people that
they
are
want
against, they want to start World War III. They
they
want to
they
cause war to stop us.
they they definitely they desperately wants the war. Huh? They want the World War III to happen. That's bad.
The devil wants war.
Yeah,
The devil's side wants to get us in a big war to kill us all off.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think there is hope for the US. I mean, like what I see, what I noticed, I think in 1960s there had been some great movements that happened in US, which gave birth to organizations like YWAM, OM, these missionary
Absolutely.
movements and all. I think similar. I think it is now again time. With the president, Trump being there, the guys could pick up the stuff and then start launching global stuff. It all require a lot of energy. It all require a lot of leadership. A lot of vision. Again, a lot of people need to spot the opportunity and then start taking things out. Definitely, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. At least, I mean, with the Trump, that's what I could at least see with his positive, uh, you know, uh, thing towards the church and all that. I think now is the time to seize the country completely. I mean, like all the nonsense, whatever was happening, man. I think you need to completely. That's what I completely put an end to that. I think reasons beyond this small platform, I think we can do that. We need to just really get the leaders. I don't know. Somehow we need to connect on personal calls, share the vision, share the idea, uh, promote it properly, you know, with quality, promotions and all that. I think there's a lot of work to be done from the reasons beyond point of view also. I think we are just not there. We are still at concept. we're still not we're still not in the shape as an organization yet.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. But in a very potential location, I was looking at India. I mean, like 2 million churches in India. So and to systematically mobilize them for missions is what reasons beyond should be thinking. In India should become the major mission force. That's what I'm looking at from from
Yeah.
from India
Um,
with
yeah.
the potential
Let
that
me
is here.
let me mention one other person from Canada.
Right, right.
His name is Russell.
Russell.
Russell. Brand,
Right.
Brand. He was a bad guy who got saved, and he is preaching the gospel. You've got to get him on there. He's crazy. Okay. He's
Right,
crazy and it's great. His name is Russell Brandon and he's from Canada.
right. Oh, okay, right, right. Yeah, yeah. We got to get these guys.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like it can be exciting when this partnership actually materializes, really. A platform India working at mobilizing 2 million churches for missions. That's going to be a big thing. I've just asked ChatGPT to give me a list of committees that will actually take to see 2 million churches mobilized. ChatGPT gave me 33 different kind of committees that should be in place. I mean, like ChatGPT is very smart in a sense. Seriously, I think if we can just use that to build kingdom, I think it is still a very good tool. So that's the direction I'm looking at. Some 500 to 600 leaders have to be involved in building that 33 committees just for India,
Mhm.
just for India, so that these committees will systematically mobilize the Indian church. So India-US partnership, I think, will have a greater impact globally
Good.
once they fall in place. Yeah, yeah. We got to do that. We got to do that.
My mother used to say that at some point, the places that we used to send missionaries to are going to turn around and come back and save us, you know, speak into
Right.
our countries and help us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, like we can start right away. One training center in USA, 2 months training center. Why not?
Yeah.
By June, if we can find a leadership, along with all the other places, we can say, hey, 1 in US and 3 in Africa and 4 in Asia. So why not?
You
Why
don't know
not?
what no telling what you're going to end up accomplishing because we walk by faith and not by sight.
That's it.
So I don't know what you're going to end up accomplishing. I mean, it's way over my head, like I said, but yeah, it's very interesting for me to look in from here and say, wow, what will he accomplish?
Right, 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 right. I'm actually thinking, Pastor, brother, I think Brother John is already there online, and he's following the conversation. You know, there's one thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at, calling it Great Commission Conference 2025. Where I'm looking at calling all these leaders that are there from 1040, 60 of them to India, for 3 days conference, and have 300 churches from India also come. So so the round figure of some 360 leaders at one place for 3 days,
The Great Commission.
learning. Yeah, it's a strategic alliance, I'm calling it, where we have leader from Bhutan, Sri Lanka, the 60 leaders from 1040 come down to Hyderabad, India, and meet with 300 churches from across India, spend time 3 days, develop partnerships, develop connections, networks, sign up MOUs, and start working for next 5 years in partnership. And Regions Beyond will be the platform that could actually see all these things happen on document.
Okay.
I believe this is possible because the 300 churches are there in India, definitely. Churches that have 5,000 members, 2,000 members, we can actually make a list of them and have them register also, pay and register, pay some amount and register so that they are confirmed seat in the conference. And we invite these delegates to come from across, pay their way again, pay their way, because once they are here, we're looking at 5 years partnership. So they come here, spend money coming here, but go back with 5 years partnership. So that's something I'm looking at. God willing, next year to take place. looking at May if we can do that. But we need some 5-6 good speakers from across the world who can actually speak 3 days
Well,
physically.
maybe out of this list I've got, you might be able to connect with one of them. Now, Russell
One of them. Right,
Brand might actually, because he's kind of new to it all, and because he's just
right,
recently become a Christian, he might be a good one.
right, right, right. So we need to, yes, we need to identify 5-6 speakers, organize it well, put teams. I've been talking to other leaders also in Africa and all that. They said, yes, we can actually spend money flying to India. So they're not also looking for sponsoring and all that. So they can put their money, come down to Hyderabad, stay there for 3 days. But as you know, as they come with 15 days to 1 month visa, so 3 days there with the conference, get all these MOUs done up and all that. And the rest of the days they can actually travel wherever they want to travel in India, preaching, to their own contacts. They can go to some churches, preach, as long as their visa permits 1 month or 15 days, and then go back. That's the idea. So yeah, I think we would require some good speakers who can actually take this up.
Yeah.
GCC 2025, I'm looking at Great Commission Conference. Yes,
Absolutely.
Brother
Yes.
John, if you're there, if you'd like to speak.
I'm here.
Hey, brother. Good
Good.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. I've been here the whole time. I'm just, as soon as we're done, I have to leave
Right,
for I'm taking a missionary friend to the airport actually.
right,
So
right.
that's why I'm listening but doing other things
Also,
at
right,
the same
right,
time.
yeah,
So
right. Yeah, that's Brother John Davis, Pastor Teda. That is Brother John
Glad to meet
Davis.
you. Glad to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So am I starting?
Yeah. I'm like, over to
All right.
you, Brother John.
I'm setting my timer even though I don't know if it's relevant to this occasion. But
Yeah.
just hang out,
You
I
can
guess,
say.
kind of like I'm in my living room, and it looks like Theta is in her living room, and Jabez, you're somewhere comfortable, so we'll just have a living room conversation between the three of us.
Yeah.
But if you said this at the beginning, I missed about the first 3 or 4 minutes because I won't tell you what I was doing because you don't want to know. But Theta, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
where are you? I'm in Northern Illinois, by the way. I don't want to ask you stuff when I'm not telling you about myself.
Okay.
Where are you?
I'm in North Georgia.
North Georgia.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Yeah, I live here in Northern Illinois, little town
Awesome.
with my wife and this. I'm actually in a tiny apartment. I'm not really sitting in front of a window with a sailboat.
It looks really beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I've experimented with what will be the best for students because I teach a lot this way through Zoom.
Okay.
But where did you meet Jabez?
Well, actually, my husband, Roy,
Okay.
who's in the other room there, he's not
Okay.
feeling very
Yeah.
well. He's
Oh,
but
Yeah. I
he
think
was a
Bible.
missionary to India for years, and we got married 6 years ago.
okay.
And he started, sharing with me the different people he had on his messenger, and Jabez was one of them. And I needed to fulfill my missionary call because I never had really gotten to do that. Because when
Okay.
I first got married, my husband, he was a military guy who had already been and done a lot of things, and he was tired, and he didn't really want to go and do a lot. And so he kind of shut down my missionary call for 20 years, I guess. So later
Okay.
on, when I married Roy, when I ran across, and the Lord had put a lot of things in me because I went to seminary, Baptist seminary, Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and I studied missions and different things. So I just wanted to learn. And then I changed my denomination to charismatic, like the same places that YWAM is a charismatic group,
Right.
Interdenominational, like Pentecostal charismatic or whatever. And but during my time of studies and being I just developed ideas of how I would like to carry out things if I was a missionary. And I didn't want to just carry out like one-on-one necessarily, but I wanted to change societies, flip the society from bad to good, and find out how
Right.
you
Come
can
on.
do that. And what I
Come on,
saw,
you're bringing my word really well.
okay, so when
Seriously.
I saw that Jabez has this plan that he has. He wants to change India, and he's preaching it all the time. And he may do it. He may do it, And not only that, but all these other countries. And so to me, that is making a big, huge impact on the world. And I said to him, myself, and my husband, I said, if I was going to go be a missionary, if I was going to get to go to the fields and then do it, I would do it like Jabez. Well, evidently, Jabez might have caught on to what I said because he started contacting me and asking me to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's nice to hear. I mean, seriously. Yeah.
And maybe you hadn't
I
heard
always-
that before either, huh?
I always wonder how Americans would respond, because it's like one of the things, I don't know if I want to say this on the recording, but I'm going to. Like when I started teaching in India, I was like, nobody ever vetted me out. It's like they just invited me, and I'm like, you don't know who I am. How do you know I'm not some crazy person? But Americans might be the other way around. They might be more like, who are you? What are you about? I don't know about you.
And
They
that-
may be like
yeah,
more like
the
that.
skepticism over here to the point. Sorry, they're so skeptical that really there's no platform for me here. I have
Yeah.
no
Oh no,
platform.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
And I'm a woman too, so that don't help. So
Yeah, well,
America,
that
they
depends
feel-
on your group. Depends on what group you're
yeah,
with.
that's
But
true. That's right.
I wrote a few notes.
Mhm.
It's interesting. I'm always a little, you'd think after all these years I'd be used to this by now. But it's like God prepared me for a smaller meeting, because I was a little bit afraid, like, because I always try and listen to the Lord. I talk about the same thing every time, pretty much, but I try and listen to the Lord to get the right angle, the right approach. And this is a very kind of conversational. And I was worried, like, what kind of people is Jabez connecting with? Because there are some people that would be greatly distressed by what I'm about to say. They don't need to be, but some people would. Depends on what kind of people are there. But I don't think Theta is going to be distressed, and I don't think Jabez will be distressed. But I'm glad to hear a little bit about what's going on with you, Theta, and your husband, and your desire to be in ministry. What I was thinking about when I prayed about this, because it was kind of a last minute invitation, so it's not like I could go away and pray for a few days or whatever. But the Lord always helps me there with in my own mind. It's like my mind is working on the message, and then I
Right.
sit down and write it down, or once in a great
We
while
have
I
his
just
mind.
there you go. Once in a while I
We
just
have
share
his
it
mind.
and then write it down while I'm talking, which Charles Finney used to do that. He used to
Oh,
write.
really?
He
I
used to
like
write the
Charles
notes
Finney.
on his sermon while he was giving the message. So I'm like, okay, I'm in good company there.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
But I was a young guy, living here in the cornfields of northern Illinois, small town, very small town.
What's the name
And
of it?
I live in Sycamore. It's right next to DeKalb, which is also a small town, but a bigger small town because it has a university in it. But DeKalb, the thing that I was born in DeKalb, and the main things that we have as a claim to fame was barbed wire was kind of invented and spread around the country and then the world from here for farmers, barbed wire. So the high
That's
school team is the DeKalb Barbs. I feel sorry for them, but and then Cindy Crawford is from DeKalb. So
Okay.
hey, we got something came out of here. Cindy
It's
Crawford.
pretty. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. Jay-Biz knows who that is. She was one of the first supermodels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. I only
She
heard of
was a
the.
model in the 80s and mostly in the 90s, actually. In the 90s. She was just like a supermodel. So she's a few years older than me. I don't know her. So there you go. There's our claim to fame here. But I grew up attending a Christian school that was started by the church that I grew up at, which is a Foursquare church. So it's Pentecostal.
I like that.
Yeah. It was spirit filled and from a pretty young age, and this is going to be more like story and conversation than a message or anything. This is the way I wrote it down before. I knew there was only going to be three of us here. But I had an intense desire from a pretty young age. My mother got saved when I was 1.5. She dedicated me to the Lord when I was 1. And then I got born again when I was 4. And I don't even remember. My mom told me. But I believe it because there were signs even when I was 4. Apparently, I used to walk up to my not Christian father as a little boy and say, Daddy, do you know Jesus yet? This is my mom told me I used to do. So I was born to be an evangelist. I was a born evangelist as a young boy. But
4 years.
Was that?
4 years. At 4 years.
Yeah. I was 4, and yeah, I don't remember it. But I remember lots of things that happened when I was young, which if I start talking about that, I'll go way more than a half hour.
Right.
But when I was college age, I had read Revivals of Religion by Charles Finney.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Charles Finney's book on revival, on kind of a how-to guide, really. So how to do revival. And I read that and it really impacted me. And I went off to Youth with a Mission. I was in Youth with a Mission for 15 years, which somehow that led me to connecting with Jabez at some point.
Right.
And I tried to do it. Excuse me. I tried to do revival. What's that?
My husband Roy was in Youth with a Mission. I guess I already said that, but I just wanted to say that.
Oh, yeah. Cool. No, that's cool. But I tried to do this revival thing. I was quite intense about it. I can remember speaking at churches and having like someone, like an old person, walk up to me and kind of pat me on the head and say, "That's nice, young man," which I'm 6'5", so hard for that. The pat me on the head is metaphorical. but they there was just kind of and I was kind of like, "Don't you understand? I'm not kidding. I don't want affirmation. I don't want you to tell me how amazing of a young man I am and how great my future is." I'm like, "No, I'm trying to provoke a revival here. I'm trying to cause trouble." And what happened is I was so into this for so many years that eventually I started to realize I can't even do this in my own life. I'm like, I'm not succeeding in this revival in my life. And how am I going to go out and like spread this revival around the world? And I kind of burned out and I ended up stepping aside from ministry for a while. Stepping aside from YWAM and going back to my home church, just kind of serving there. I ended up getting married to the wonderful girl I'm married to now. But some things happened over the years, including this burnout season. I remember wondering about social reform. I remember talking to my friends way back in college where we were like, why would we do social reform? Shouldn't we focus on the gospel? Shouldn't we focus on getting people saved? And I struggled with that because YWAM was going in a when I joined YWAM later, they were definitely going in a direction of shifting towards how Christianity applies to everything. This was the direction the mission was heading towards. And I was trying to figure out, what do I do with this? And this is revelation number 1 here from my hopefully short story. I was sitting on a beach in Oregon because I was in Youth with a Mission out on the West Coast in the state of Oregon. I was sitting literally on this kind of lawn chair thing that was sinking into the sand as the waves came in. I wasn't in the deep wasn't in the deep waves, but you know when there's just a few inches left going up under your feet and then going out. It's cold. The water was cold, but I had my Oregon Tiva sandals on. And I'm sitting there just kind of sinking in the sand and thinking and talking to the Lord. And I felt this is the first thing he did, or I don't know if it's the first, early thing he did to get me to shift my thinking is he's like, okay, so you know you're going to die. Your body's going to die and go to heaven. Do you bathe? Do you eat? Do you exercise? Do you try and reform your body? Because the question in my heart was, if all this is just going to burn anyway, why are we going to do anything about anything? Why would we do anything about anything? It's all going to burn anyway. Because that's the way I was taught. The end times is here. It's all going to burn anyway. I even heard on the radio, there's this guy, I don't remember what the show was called, but he used to say, why would we polish brass on a sinking ship? So I have friends that say, no, that's not really going on. I'm like, yes, it is. I don't know if it's going on with the younger generation, but there's a mentality about the end times that's like, why would we bother? Why would we bother with politics or business or whatever? And then some people, they live inconsistent with their end times focus and they are building their business and their family. I once saw a guy, the man up in the front was talking about how the Antichrist already has a room in the United Nations building. And this is it. It's all going down. We're all about to die. You know, this is a really miserable, sad message, really. And my friend stood up and he's probably almost exactly the same age as me, if maybe a couple years younger. And he had kids and he said, what about my son? His heart was just yearning, like, what am I supposed to do with my kids, basically? What am I supposed to do with my kids? If this all is just going to burn, you know, it's all going down. We're about to live through hell and then Jesus is coming back. Why would I bother with that? So I've had I learned inductive Bible study in 5th grade. So I used to sit there and listen to my pastor, who's a great guy. He still is. He's still the pastor of that church in the area I live in now. I have all good things to say about him. But interestingly, I was sitting there as a young teenager with my inductive Bible study methodology, even before I was a teen, I think, listening to his teaching about the end times and kind of going, that doesn't add up. That's not consistent with the context. I had nothing to compare it to. And this isn't, by the way, this isn't really a message about the end times or your eschatology or whatever. It's just an observation that there's this obsession in our culture about the end of the world. Christianity has discipled the nations. And that's why there's all this apocalypticism. Even in the non-Christians. I believe, I don't know if I can prove that. I believe it, though. You can decide for yourself whether it's true. But I believe that we Christians, since the 1800s, have built the world into a place where the word for the book about the revelation of Jesus Christ, the word apocalypse literally means revelation. So a book that is about the revealing of the king to the world is like a bad thing. The word apocalypse has come to mean something bad. The common use of the word is like, it's all going to burn. That we have done this, I believe, as Christians. We have discipled the nations. And the secularists, what's that?
Game over. I mean, like book of Revelation means game over, man.
That's what everyone's expecting, this horrific end. And the secularists, however, they have the millennial vision. They just took God out of it. They're trying to build the millennial reign of Christ without Christ. And they're doing it in the whole world. They took our place. The Christians who built the modern world, including India, have stepped aside and said, I'll tell you what, let's let Satan do it. Because we're just going to get people saved. And, my, oh my, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. So I observed this obsession with the end of the world and tried to sort it out. It took me years to sort it out. I still don't have it sorted out. I don't know when Jesus is coming back. Anyone who does, no, they don't. Anyone who thinks they know, they don't. In my own lifetime, they keep getting it wrong. Eventually, there's going to be some guy with a sandwich board that says the end is near, who's going to happen to be right by luck. Just keep doing that for the next 1,000 years, 10,000 years, however long, 100 years, however long it is till Jesus is coming back. Eventually, someone's going to guess right, but nobody knows. God hasn't revealed that. That's okay. I'm going on that more than I intended to. But in 2002, I did a YWAM Bible school, the School of Biblical Studies. And it's a guided self-study. So you have teachings in class and everything, but the point of the teachings isn't really to teach you what the books say. It's to give you specific guidance and historical background and all this stuff for each book. And we studied every book of the Bible in 10 months intensely. And one of the things that struck me, especially in the Old Testament, but even in the New Testament, was there's stuff in here about prayer and worship and, going to church and all that. But, most of it is, I don't know, I shouldn't use the word most, because a lot of it is prophetic destruction of Israel stuff. But a lot of it is about how to live. So God seems to be pretty interested in where do we put the toilets? What do we do if there's mildew in the house? What do you do with leprous disease? And I'm not going to try and break down exactly what those things mean for today. I don't even claim to know, but I just know, and don't steal stuff and don't murder people and don't have adultery with other people's spouses and don't murder, take care of your parents when they're old, don't blaspheme God, don't have false gods. A lot of it was just how do we live? What kind of world are we going to build? And I felt like in some ways eternity was missing. It's like God sure seems to care about now. The New Testament gets a little more into eternity. And then recently, just for the record, so that nobody misunderstands me, I feel like I started asking God to show me eternity in the Old Testament, and I started noticing things. I've started to underline a lot of things in my Bible. It was there. But it wasn't like God was like, I just want you to focus on getting into heaven. It's like, no, don't harm your neighbor. Be fruitful and multiply and take dominion.
Take
One of my
dominion.
take dominion. One of my favorite
Take
podcasts,
dominion.
they say at the end of every episode, they say, and I'm not going to claim to agree with every bit of this statement, but I get what they're saying. And one of the guys will always say, are you single? Get married. If you're married, have yourself some kids. If you have some kids, go baptize them. That's what they say every time. And, so I don't want to argue about baptizing kids. That isn't my point. I know that they mean something a lot more than that. The whole training up of your kids. I would say educate your kids with an explicit Christian education, a specific. This is like and I started realizing these kinds of things are the main ways to take the world. And missions is necessary because of the lack of the knowledge because if how will they believe if they don't hear? How will they hear if nobody is sent? Right. So missions essential. It's absolutely essential. I am a missionary myself. I believe in missions, but it's most people are going to get married, have kids, have a business, and live out Christ in their life. And hopefully send some money and some prayer and some support to missionaries. And without a doubt, there's some people that are supposed to be missionaries that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And they need someone to say, hey, here's a challenge to get involved with world missions. But this was, I would have contrast. I was in California speaking in a church. And the only reason I was speaking in this church is because it was part of a presentation that they allowed in the church. The pastor, I think he maybe kind of apologized before we got up. These young people, but I was sharing a brief message and I remember just kind of like, what are you doing with your fancy boat and your fancy car and your all your wealth and get married and go to college, and your kids, so your kids can get married and go to college and have a job, and it's just endless. Basically the idea was instead be a missionary. Get involved with eternal things. I would do that message so differently now, especially because I eventually got to know some of those people years later. In fact, some of them became big sponsors of my ministry. But I remember talking to a guy who was a dairy farmer in California, and I don't know if he may have gone to that church, but he went to a church like it if he didn't go to that church, because there were a lot of these, Dutch Reformed folks. And he was saying, why do we do all this work to run this dairy and sell milk and make money except to give to missionaries like you? And I don't remember exactly what I said, but if I could go back, and I think I did say this, but maybe not complete because I was still working it out. If I could go back, I would say, God cares about milk. God cares about fresh milk, high quality milk. And if you don't do dairy, that's okay. I think you can still understand the point. God cares about excellence, beauty. You're loving your neighbor. You're loving your neighbor when you make good milk. And yes, of course, it's good that you can prosper and give to frontier missions and all that, but the actual work you're doing matters. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. If this world doesn't matter, if the only reason we're here is to populate heaven, which I'm into that, by the way, let's populate heaven. But if that's the only reason we're here, why did God send us here at all? Why did he send us here and give us all these instructions about life? He sure seems to be concerned about here. And this will shake people up because we're maybe not this group, maybe not us, but we're so focused on the end of the world and eternal things and spiritual things that it's like we don't see that God sure seems to care about this side of eternity, this part. So what about the eternal part of eternity after we die or after Jesus does return? Yeah, that's obviously important too. In fact, as far as I know, that'll be a much longer period of time. Do you ever pause and wonder what you'll be doing in 850 trillion years? I have no idea what I'll be doing then. But so obviously the eternity matters, and obviously if someone is perishing in their sins, their eternity is your prime thing. But Christianity is about so much more than that. So the motivation behind this message, which I thought it was going to be more of a messagey message, but God knew there was only going to be a few of us here, right? Is when I asked, like, Lord, what should I talk about? I felt like I need to nudge the 1040 missions movement towards an all of life Christianity gospel.
Yep.
We need the church planting and all that. We need Revelation 7, people from every people, every kindred, every tongue. I'm still a part of that 1040 movement in that sense. I really believe that I am. But I would say, I would go so far as to say I don't believe that church planting and salvations is what it's all about. It's necessary. It's one of the things it's all about. What we're actually preaching is the gospel of the kingdom. I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. I'm literally want to make like a list of all the times in the Bible it says the gospel with only using that word and how many times it say the gospel of the kingdom. I don't know the answer, but I don't even know if the answer matters, but I'm really curious to see. This is a new idea recently, so I haven't done that work yet. But there's I said
he says
something.
Occupy until I come, and he's got forever to come, and he can allow us to save our society, help save our society over and over, because many times the people have thought that it must be time for Jesus to rapture us because they couldn't stand their society 1 minute longer. But then things turned around for the better. And now you can see America might be changing around for the better. and maybe India and maybe many other places are turning around for the better. I think God's watching us, and as we learn to occupy and bring Jesus' ways into societies
Come on.
and to
Yep,
take
yep.
dominion.
I don't know if you guys have heard of Laszlo Tokes. I have his
Say
book.
that
I
again.
haven't. His name's Laszlo Tokes. He's Romanian. And back,
LAZ.
I have no idea how to spell it. I'll have to look it up later.
Laszlo
But
Toes.
it's like Lazlo, and I don't know how to spell Tokes. Tokes,
Okay.
Tolkes, Tokles, but something like that. And he was a Romanian
Okay.
minister. In fact, he's involved in politics now, and I think he's may have damaged his life. But I think it was him. I heard the story. The story is great, regardless of whether it was actually him. I think it was him. And it was back during the time of the Soviet Union. And his other pastor friend was getting up there in years, and he was saying, you know, they lived under communism. So wouldn't it be just great if, isn't it so great that we can just die and go to heaven now? And, you know, all this world's coming down. It's all going to burn. And Laszlo Tokes was like, no, I'm building for the future. So he's living under communism, saying, I'm building for the future. We're going to build a better world. And Laszlo Tokes was the guy that was arrested in Romania that you can look him up. It led to a chain of events which caused the Romanian Revolution.
Oh.
Wow.
And ended communism in Romania.
Wow.
So
Wow.
when I was a young man, my first prayer project was Dick Eastman from Every Home Crusade holding up a brick that he's somehow gotten a piece from the Berlin Wall, you know. Or no, I think that was later. But he said, I remember getting a letter in the mail about Operation Confrontation. He said, we're going to pray down the Soviet Union. We're going to pray down the wall, the Iron Curtain. It's coming down. We're going to pray it down.
Yeah.
So this is my first prayer project as a young man. Of course, I'm not realizing people have been praying for 70 years. So to me, it felt like I started praying and then boom. You know, my experience is, Lord, we cast down those walls of Eastern Europe, and boom, like within a few years, it was all gone. I'm like, okay, no wonder I got fired up. And right, and for prayer. But of course, as I got older, I learned, some people were the prayer warriors that prayed for 70 years. I got to come in at the end and throw my prayer and watch it all fall, you know. But I don't know how we're all old enough here. I think. I know I am. I'll speak for myself. It was impossible.
69 here.
Oh, okay. It was impossible back then to think this is all about to come down. The great fight between the U.S. and the Soviet Union was like going to go on forever. It was like, no, it wasn't like this is all about to come down. We never know what's going to happen next. This is why Christians shouldn't be sitting around being the doomsayers. We might have hard times ahead. You know, I personally think Trump represents a kind of reprieve. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do as much as he thinks. I don't know. Only God knows. But either way, it's like a pause in the slide, you know, not a slide to the end of the world, though. I don't believe we're living in the end times personally, but we could be living in the end times of the United States, though. There's a difference. You know what I mean? We could be living in the end times of the American world. Maybe America will be here still in 500 years, but it won't be like the world ruler. I don't know. I don't know these things. But what I do know is I'm not going to obsess about how it's all coming down. I'm going to work. Understanding that even if I don't see it with my own eyes, if I die during a time where things are going really wrong, I'm going to be laying in my bed talking to anyone who's in the room, saying Jesus is taking over the world. He's the king now. He's the king of the nations right now. They're going to be like, well, can't you see what's going on? It's the end times. I mean, I know you don't know that, maybe, but you don't know that. I am expecting God to do great things. And I'll what's that?
No, I think I would want to say something here, Brother John, as you are saying, no, from the Indian point of view, from the Indian perspective, that's exactly what I've been going through, at least past decade or so, almost 10 years now. I've been watching all the churches here and all that. Sometimes I feel like church is just giving them some, drug sort of a thing, They go high when they go to church, you know. They have this good feeling when they go to church, but they come out, but the problems are still there. The guys are still stuck. The misery is still there. The pain is still there. That's where I've been really like, in the same lines what you are talking. I was living here in India. I encounter daily, people committing suicide. The difficult problems are there, but these thousands of people go to church. They feel good. They cover their head and then they have some sort of a feeling good thing, but never really getting out of the problem. Never really being able to solve their problems. So I am
Right.
anti-church, really, in a sense. Let me really say that. I am really anti-church. I say, hey, your pastor is making good money, but how about you? Has he taught you to become a billionaire? Or has he taught you to have a good life? I mean, you understand? So there is the whole thing that goes here also in India, the church thing that takes people to high, but leaves them as they are.
At least
So
help people to live in dignity. I like to say that we could live a life of dignity, not necessarily be a millionaire, but to have
yeah,
a life
yeah.
of dignity.
Quality
with
life.
God.
Yeah. I mean, like now these guys are like, especially during the COVID. I mean, like the entire mood in India was, guys, it's over. Now we are about to be raptured. You understand? The whole
It just
teaching that
woke us
was
up.
going
That was our
Dude.
wake-up call. The COVID
Dude.
woke us up to the
Right.
devil
Right.
because they were the devil. You could see they were. So
Right.
we were never, we've always said over here in America, they don't think, we use the word they, and we didn't know who we were talking about. But finally
Right.
we realized that there's a group of people who don't like us.
Right.
They're not for us,
Yeah. Right. Like the entire mood in the country back then, second wave, the first wave, every church was talking, okay, it's over now. We're going to get out. This is the end. Game over. Every church was talking about it. Rapture. Finish. I mean, like,
Yeah.
but we are back again.
I'm going to take that and go with my closing idea or story briefly.
Right.
I hope I didn't actually plan on sharing this, but so I didn't look up the proper reading, but you guys know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is. There's a movie out right now. He was in jail during the Third Reich. And I always like to say, if anybody had an excuse to think this is the end of the world, it would be Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I mean, that he was imprisoned by the Antichrist, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, Hitler was running things, and he was not a nice man. This Mr. Hitler, he was not a nice man. And Bonhoeffer's in jail. If there's anybody that could have said, oh, this is it, here we go. It's the end times. It's the end of the world. Jesus is coming back. I'm ready. And someone asked him sent him a letter asking him about it. He wrote a letter back. And I'll have to look it up and send it to you later if anyone wants it, because I made sure to find it and write down some of these words. But what he basically said was, because he was answering the question, is this the end of time? Is he said, when I see Jesus coming on the clouds, then I will believe it's the end of time. Until then, I am working for a better tomorrow.
Amen.
So it's like, is anybody I used to tell my wife, and we don't have any kids, not by choice.
That's
But if we
nice.
were in a silo, up in the mountains, like in the old 80s movies about the end of the world, nuclear war, if we were living up in a silo, hiding there, eating our survival food with our kids, and the Cubans and the communists had invaded physically, and like in Red Dawn, and we're up there, I would be teaching my kids, okay, we got to get ready. I don't know if it'll be you or if it'll be your kids or if it'll be your grandkids, but we got to be ready for when God gives us the land back. We got to prepare for when God casts down all this wickedness that's going on around us and gives it back to us. And we got to do our part in being available to be the caster downers. I don't know if that's a word. The cast downers, the whatever. That's what I would want to be teaching them. It's like, I'm not going to be teaching them, don't worry, you're going to heaven. I would include that. I would include that because that's comforting, right? When you're suffering. But I'm like, nope, get your sword, get your spiritual sword, get your sword of the word, maybe a literal sword in some cases, and get ready, not for the end of the world, because you don't know anything about when that is. Get ready to take it back, and we're going to get it even better this time.
Take it back.
So and take it further. I'm definitely a Christendom 2.0 guy. I don't know if you've seen Doug Wilson's book, Christendom 2.0. Say, let's do it again and let's do it better this time. And then maybe there'll be a Christendom 3.0, and we're probably moving away from European Christendom to global Christendom. That's all. This transition isn't the end of the world. It's probably a shift from a Western centric Christianity to a global centric Christianity. But there you go. Those are my remarks. I
would like to get you on my Facebook and Messenger. Are you on Facebook and Messenger?
I am.
And
here, let me send you my. Oops. There's me.
John Davis.
I don't know if I did this one right, but something like that will get you to my Messenger. But you should send a friend request, or the message will probably go into the spam folder or whatever.
Okay, I'll send a friend request. Some people, besides the Democrats, have got some good ideas, have got a plan. And I have been following it, and I want to share that with you.
Okay.
Yep.
So, some people other than the Democrats?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the bad guys or the good guys?
I'm talking about some good guys.
Oh, okay.
That Trump's people, he's got a group. He's got a group that has been.
He's appointing some interesting people. It'd be interesting to see how that goes.
He's getting rid of human trafficking. The human trafficking has been going on. There's tunnels underneath the cities. We live on top, but the elites have another world underneath. That's they're sacrificing to their god, the devil, and that he's given them power. I mean, it goes on and on,
Wow.
But
we're going to cast it all down.
Yes, that's it. And there are a remnant. We've talked about, everybody mentions the word remnant, and everybody thinks, well, just the regular church is the remnant. But let me say that the regular church is not the remnant. There are certain people that God has risen up in this world, different, like Bonhoeffer people, and they are the remnant. And where you're going to find them is on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, all the different, Truth Social, all the good social groups that have risen up. They're truthers. There's many truthers that we can't trust the regular media anymore. So people have risen up. Many people have risen up, and they have overtaken the world, really. They've taken the world by storm, and they're awesome. And I'm excited about not the Democrats being the one who's going to bring in the new happy world over there. They're the ones that they're just trying to trap us all into some kind of hell. But I'm talking about generals who retired generals who have started working with Trump, and a good military. We have a good military and a bad military. And our the Democrats have got the justice systems, the judges and all that working against it. They have weaponized the systems of the world against Christians and anyone who wants to have the Judeo-Christian ethics in the world anymore. And but we're winning. See, we won the election. And how did that happen? Well, there's a lot of good people behind it that
Yep.
that I know about.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I mean, like, it's wonderful to hear different perspectives, I think I could say. But I think we're all on the same page, John. Sick and tired of the end.
Sounds like it.
Sick and tired of the end time concept, trying to escape to that false comfort, leaving the reality down here, where you're supposed to be transforming every bit of everything. I think we're all on the same same line of thought. Yeah. And I think Vishal Mangalwadi talks so much about it. I don't really follow completely his English, but I think that's what he is really trying to achieve, I think, with his teachings and all of that.
Yeah, here's a picture. This is Jesus's bride. We are she's got a sword in her hand.
Okay.
So we are a priestly warrior. We're priestly warriors against Satan, because Jesus is within us, and he's fighting against the evil in the world through us.
Yep. Yep. I think what else? Like, I have a last thing that I want to say. Could you guys suggest, or how do you see? Is there a possibility? How do we launch Regions Beyond in USA? How do we really launch? Is there a? I'm looking at connections. I'm looking at least some 15, 18 people to fall in place into a board sort of a thing. So, I'm like, your comments, your ideas, suggestions. How do we take this forward? Is there a possibility, something like that? John.
I don't know. I don't know how typical I am. I may be kind of atypical, but I know that like when I go to India, I don't know if it's just because I'm a Westerner or what the reason is. There's like open doors everywhere, without anyone even knowing who I am. I'm kind of like, okay, that's interesting. It is not like that here.
Right.
If you're unknown to people,
right,
probably going to be asking, who is this?
Who's this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, so I somehow you got to, unless you already have the connections,
you're
going to have to build them. And I wished I knew how to do that. I mean, my own ministry is tiny. and I haven't had
Right.
really an ambition to build a large organization. I've always said I would rather influence 40 other people who started 40 other organizations than mine. If I had a choice, if God said you can have a huge organization or you can have all sorts of people start stuff, you don't even get any public credit for it. I want the real material growth. So I realize I'm not really answering your, I don't really don't know how to answer your question, because I just know it's different. And also, I mean, how do I say this? The overall presentation, with the emphasis on big and large numbers and all that, this to me is like the strategy of the 80s.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That, which maybe I'm, just because I don't have a specific ambition to do that, maybe I'm not seeing clearly. But it sounds like the mission stuff I heard growing up, where there was lots of emphasis on the numbers and the whatever. I know some people, I don't know how many. Still, I think that the power brokers, if you will, in the Christian community in the US, they're probably still there. But if you don't know them, you're going to be meeting the smaller people, not physically smaller, the smaller time people.
Yeah.
And a lot of those are ex-generationers now, and there's a real emphasis and desire for things like authenticity and depth. So it depends on who you know. I mean, if you know someone from the 700 Club that can connect you with those, which to me are older systems. I don't even know what's going to happen to those. Maybe God will still use them for another 200 years. Okay. Maybe they're about to all come down and everything's changing. But, if you know someone from the 700 Club, or I made that one up, other things like that, Franklin Graham, if you're buddies with Franklin Graham, it'd be easy to find some big power brokers who will be able to acceleratedly advance regions beyond ministry in the US. If you don't know those people, I don't. I probably do know some of them, and I'm just not thinking of it right now, but I'm not really in that group. You're not talking to one of the American power brokers of the American evangelical system. You're talking to someone who's kind of a self-imposed exile. It's like, I don't want to do what they're doing. And some of them have impacted my life. I mean, I mentioned Dick Eastman. I don't even know if Dick Eastman's alive, or he probably is. Lauren Cunningham laid his hands on me and prayed for me to have the anointing of the all. Now, he wouldn't know me. I don't mean like we were personally sitting down for coffee. I mean, went forward.
Reinhard Bunke actually laid hands on me one time, but
and there you go.
I don't know if that did much.
I believe Lauren's prayer.
I had lunch with Lauren Cunningham.
What's that?
I had lunch with Lauren Cunningham. Lunch?
Yeah.
You had lunch with him, okay.
I did. In Hyderabad.
He's well known, but YWAM, as you know, is very different than these power structures I'm talking about. So Lauren Cunningham himself may have moved amongst those people, but he didn't move his organization that way. So I'm here. I'll trust God that there's some sovereignty. I don't know if big and fast is the thing unless you know those kind of people. And even then, I have no idea if that's really, I have my own questions about whether that's really the best way to do anything. But if it is, you got to know those kind of level of people.
Right.
I want to say this. You have really blessed my heart today, both of you. I think that it takes all kinds of people, and that I'd like to encourage you, Jabez, to look up Sean Feucht, that I gave you his name.
Right.
He is using breakthrough methods, okay? He's got the breakthrough methods. And what it is just, it's very simple. Go to the streets. Go to the streets.
Yeah. like the way I'm looking at is, let the results speak for themselves. That's the approach I'm actually working at. I'm really encouraged to hear Pastor Teda felt, okay, I have got small platform that I could actually contribute, be part of some mission, you know. So with this virtual, idea of conferences, meetings, and all of that, that's what I wanted to get people engaged. As the John was saying, if he's an American, fine, he must be a Billy Graham. That's the perception here. Every Pakistani thinks every American is a Billy Graham. Every American is a Reinhard Bonnke. So let's cash on that. Like what they are, as long as they're not cultic. I thought, okay, fine. I'm like, anybody who is available, come, speak. You got 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and start getting these platforms go. Like
You are
monthly.
giving a platform, Jabez, you
Yeah.
are giving a platform to people who don't have platforms,
Yeah,
plain and
Yeah.
simple, and to us, to John and to me, who do not have a platform here in America. We
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
a platform. I mean, maybe a small platform, but
So, yeah.
you know, and it
So,
matters to
I mean,
me because
ironically, I have a platform, but it's more in India. People
yeah,
in I am more. There are more people in India that know who I am
right.
than
All
here.
right,
in
So
America.
my thing is, okay, how about the relatively insignificant leaders in the US compared to Billy Graham, all these big names? If we become the reasons beyond, but execute something that's fantastic, something that is good, something that is big, that is something that is compelling, something new. If we can, though we may be insignificant, though the names may not be very known, famous, and all that, but even that group of 20-25 of us come together, register reasons beyond there, and then start talking about missions in the fullest sense, as Brother John was saying. We've been distributing tracks focusing on the physical, the spiritual. That's why from the day one I said, man, get out of that. I mean, like, get out of that box. I said, let's move 1 lakh units into 1040. A real impact. Move factories, move industries, move schools, hospitals, and
yeah.
look at all kind of developments, which I believe also solves the financial problem.
As
Because
long as we don't get stuck in just conferences and committees, because conferences and committees can just become conferences and committees.
yes, yeah. They can just become another activity. Yeah.
Are becoming, as long as they're enhancing and advancing,
Yes.
but if they stop enhancing and advancing, then
Right.
the committees have become a hindrance.
Yes. Yeah. The committees are there to take care of their national work and all of that. But how about a project like now I'm trying to float one here? As I've been saying, in the month of October, calling it Mission Africa, where for Indians it is the biggest thing. I'm like, for the first time in India, a 10,000 ton material going out of India to Africa with 300 volunteers flying from here, and 10 big names from India who actually hold big crusades and all of that here in India. So I'm looking at all of these Indian guys get to Africa, 10,000 tons of materials.
Go for it. Go for it as hard, just like you're doing. But if but then keep on looking for other ways too. Like I'm going to bring up Sean Feucht again. Okay.
Yeah.
Look into his ways of doing things. And there's another guy named Greg Locke who's very, very popular in the world.
Yes.
John,
Greg
have you
Locke,
heard of Greg Locke?
I don't, not off the top of my head.
Okay. He and a guy named Vlad, I can't hardly say his last name. They have really been casting out demons in America. And they have thousands that are coming to the meetings.
Where'd you
There's-
go, Jabez?
Uh-oh.
I'm here.
I want
I'm
to show
here.
one more picture. Yeah. I'm going to show this picture here. It says, it all matters to Jesus.
Yeah.
It all matters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Howard identifying some of these 18 leaders, simple but passionate, and get them together as a board, body, committee, whatever, for the USA, and start moving towards some direction. I think once we start slaying one by one, like David did, I think the name starts coming. I don't think even any organization. I don't think YWAM was very famous when they started. Everything, I think they've started with 2 people, but I think as long as we pursue the vision relentlessly, I think we will get there. I think the platform. See, I didn't. When I started, I thought, okay, now Pastor Teda can be bringing the word to Bhutan. She's brought the word to Pakistan. We've launched a committee, and today we're talking about some real work in Pakistan happening from our living rooms. I believe it's possible. Technology is
It can happen.
amazing. Amazing.
some
The
of
real
that,
things can actually happen. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at, Brother John. 18 people who will be part of our ongoing conferences. Some may come as speakers, requesting them, talking to them, and then see them come together, and then see a board formed. Just like we have, happening in all these countries. Sri Lanka, we have a board. Pakistan have a board. Why not America? As quickly as possible. So the board can be, just like today, you can, be on Facebook connecting each other. But from America, you can all be talking and taking things forward. We can start a school maybe in America also. The 2 months course. Why not in America? And many other different things we can actually do.
There's,
I think.
yeah.
I'm trying to think how to explain what an American ministry leader is going to be thinking. Unless you know them, or they're not. Unless you know them, or they're looking for an opportunity themselves, they're going to be wondering, why would I join? Why would I be a part of this? And here's some reasons they might do it. If they know and love you personally, where they're doing you a favor. That's one reason. If the Holy Spirit speaks to them, of course. I'm talking more on the natural side right now. Obviously, if the Holy Spirit calls someone, but understanding that there's also a natural process involved, they're going to be asking, how does this advance? Either they know, love, and trust you, and they want to help you, or they're going to be saying, how does this advance what I'm doing?
Yeah, how is it advance what am I doing? Okay, win-win. What's in it for me?
I guarantee you. And like for me, I would totally help a brother if I felt like God was saying to, regardless of whether it advanced anything I was doing. So I'm not saying they're all evil people who will only help if it's advancing their own thing. What I'm saying is, if they don't already have, like, I've got a gazillion Indians and Pakistanis and Africans in my Facebook Messenger right when you're not doing this. I'm not saying you're doing this, but I'm just saying, as a Westerner, and they're like, hi, my name is so-and-so. By the way, can you sponsor my mission? They immediately want me to do something about their work. And I don't even know who you are. It's taken a while to get to know who you are, Jabez. I've gotten to know you. The first meeting we did, there was maybe 5 people there, and it was kind of like, okay, that seemed like kind of a flop. And then like the next one, there was like 20, and the next one there was 30. So I'm like, okay, he's serious. I'm getting to know you. I'm seeing that you're really doing the work to build, and my interest kind of grows. I know this doesn't sound very spiritual, because shouldn't I just hear God? Yeah, I totally just hear God. But honestly, if I'm going to be honest, in addition to that, You have given me a vehicle to do what I was already doing
Yes, yes,
with
yes,
with
yeah.
some more people. It's like so does that sound selfish? I don't think it is. I think it's kingdom mind. God has given me something to do, and brother Jabez is like, here's 20 people to do it with. All right,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Well, that's what you do. You give a vehicle or a platform for
Platform.
us
Yes,
to
yeah.
start our own ministries, to enhance
That's
our
it,
own
that's it.
ministries.
That's it. That's it. I'm like, out of 300 million Americans, even if you take 60% of them are, let's say, Christians, I think we should be able to provide a bigger, better variety of opportunities for people to get involved. In missions, 1040. Since end of the day, that's the goal, that's the purpose. But little different from the 80s ministries, which are only focusing spiritual. We're saying, hey, if we have a contact in Washington, I'm just saying an example. Washington, somebody want to be part of it. Hey, how about moving companies from Washington to Africa? Spiritual. Business as missions. How about bringing some political input into Somalia from White House? I think there are many ways actually to see the ideas transfer, move, impact, and build kingdom. So vice versa.
I believe that, and I could be wrong, but unless you know someone that's connected, you're going to have to build connections. And I don't mean you have to build connections with super people. That's not my point at all. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
But as far as doing it fast, the only way you're going to do it fast is if you already have a network. If you don't, I'm talking about in the US. It appears that you do have a network in Pakistan and India. So when you call to, let's grow this network, there's somebody there. I don't know who you know here. I've seen who your speakers are. So it seems like there's definitely a YWAM thing going on. You've got connections in YWAM.
Yeah.
But it's going to take building connections.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I don't have any idea how long it will take. I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
There will be some sort of a critical mass built, and there'll be a tipping point, and it'll take off big. But I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to cut straight to the big. I just don't know how to do it. Unless you are connected. So I feel like I'm saying something so unspiritual. I feel bad, but I should know better. I should listen to my own teaching. The world works in a real way. When I was younger, I would have seen everything I had, but I'm like, no, I don't think it's bad. I think this is how the world really works. This is how business works. This is how ministry works. It's connections. I build I build a relationship. I build trust. In the marketing world, we say know, like, and trust. So you need right now. You're the face. You're the man. There's other faces, but honestly, I don't really know who they are. So Bishop Viraji, I kind of know who you are now, if you're even listening.
I call him the Donald Trump of India.
There you go. But what I'm saying is when there's a bunch of people that go, I know, like, and trust Jabez, it might take some time. In America, I'm talking about the American thing. You obviously have connections in other places. But in America, you might have less, I don't know, other than some YWAMers. I think Mark Baxter might be a more well-known.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him? If you have a connection with him, I'd be like, talk to him,
I did. He did speak in one of the meetings, one of the recent ones, and I was planning to connect with him on some. He's got some discipling nations, some conference he does, and so no. Let's see now for this is what I'm doing now. October, 2025. I'm thinking of all of this. I said, okay, globally, you are a guy who does conferences, crusades, speaking, all of that. I said, okay, come into all these countries. We've got some platform. You can come and do a conference. You can come and do a crusade and all. So there is a lot of different ways to engage people. If there is a guy who does a crusade with 10,000 people, we say, hey, come to Pakistan. There is a place. We've got a committee going on there. Okay, you can actually do a conference, crusade. So variety of projects, variety of ideas, platforms created. I'm looking at, you know, uh, training centers in every city that has got 1 million population plus in 1040 window. So that can be another magnet that could draw people and say, hey, these guys want to set up 102 cities are identified across 1040 window that have 1
I think-
million plus.
And I think it will be harder to build
Yeah.
those connections with the people that can actually help you. It'll be
Yeah.
easy to build those connections with the people where you can help them. If you know what I'm saying, like the people that they need an opportunity, it's going to be easier for you to build connections with those. The people that already have enough work to do, I am not famous, and yet
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have endless people inviting me to come and do things in the 1040 window, like all sorts of people. The vast majority of them, I barely respond. I'm just polite because I'm like, I don't know who you are. You met me on Facebook. I don't know who you are. I don't know if I'm being helpful, if I'm getting through what I'm saying.
Understood.
It's the, unless you've already got like 3 people that are like kind of super heavy hitters, you might have to, and there's nothing wrong with beginning to build with people who you're helping them. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a start, right?
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how it is. I think someone who's really busy, my friend Jesse and I used to try and get like Joy Dawson to come and teach in our DTS. We were always ambitious. People say, there's no way she's going to come. Well, we're going to try. And we did, then she very politely declined, but it's like,
I mean, that's fine.
like
I
Joey
mean,
Gossett, they already have enough to do. They don't need to be on another committee to help another
Yeah.
Yeah,
ministry
that's the
grow.
thing
They're
there.
already busy. So
I
they're
would like
gonna
to say
they're gonna be the
something,
hard.
too.
Most of the hard work is gonna be getting a few of those key people.
Right. We've
Another
got a
thing is I see
Yeah.
There's this girl named Jenny Weaver. She's
Okay.
baptizing thousands and thousands and thousands. And then many of them are individuals that are having the same problem that we're having, but just stepped out and did the mandate that God had put on them. And then gradually they were recognized when their ministry built up to a certain point. And like maybe some news media decided to put it out, like Charisma Magazine. Charisma Magazine is an awesome place to get into. If you get your ministry talked about in an article on that, in that magazine is an awesome place.
Yeah, you sweep, you become famous overnight. Yeah, I'm careful not to be carried away for the promotion, publicity, but really get to the results part of it. Really get to the the objective results part of it. I'm like,
now Sean, I'm sorry, Sean, he's got a guitar. Sean has a guitar, okay? And I'm saying it like that because he is a piped piper.
Right.
There's a story about that, but this man plays his guitar and leads people in singing the praises of God in the streets. He's a piped piper. So, but if you look him up, Sean Feucht, that's all that was necessary for that man to start his ministry, because God had his hand on him. God had his hand on him. He's anointed to do it. And when God's got his hand on you and you've got the anointing on you and you are chosen vessel of God's, like Donald Trump or Jabez, you don't know what'll happen, because God will do amazing things, and he'll just do amazing things.
We just have to go all the way. So the objective is very clear: building the nations on the Bible. So that being the bottom line, I think we got to continually, come up with various creative ways to get churches engaged, people engaged, missions engaged with that bottom line, build the countries on Bible. So I think I think that gives enough job for people also, like, people who are just
Try to
thinking
get
of
into
spiritual.
Charisma Magazine. Get
We
into
need to.
Charisma Magazine.
We should, yeah.
I mean, just to be clear, I'm not pushing focusing on famous people or that. What I'm just saying, it's a different building process.
It's
Yeah.
crazy in the United States.
If
I don't even
if
like it.
nobody knows who you are, it's a different building process. If you
They
don't
say
have
they'll help
connections with people,
you.
that I don't know.
I'm
I feel like I'm not getting across what I'm trying to say well, because the issue isn't go hang out with famous people or go have a big promotion. If you don't know those people, I would switch the word results with relationships. It's like networking. Right. You already know this because I've seen that you've built some networks.
Right. Yeah.
You gotta have more connections in the United States, and it's gonna take some time to meet the kind of people who are going to be like, I can do something that they might not be super famous. They might just have a big network. Like me, my network's in India. So I have only my moderate value in the United States. Actually, I know, and you probably already know most of my network. I mean, you're probably already networked into most of my network.
My straight question, John, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing something here. I'm just saying, if we just have you as the main guy for America, the president of Regions Beyond US, big title, and a team of 18 people with you, and you being American, people being ready to buy into with the countries that are following. 2025, I'm sure we'll be into 40 countries with 1,000 leaders.
Now, the main issue about that is I'm already the president of an organization, and it's a tiny organization, and I would be better on an advisory board. Like, there's no way I'm going to administratively be able to operate. I need help operating what I'm operating, which is small. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, you could have like a figurehead president. That's one kind of person, but if the person that's actually going to pull the weight, it's like I have to find another way to serve, because I can't pull that kind of weight when I haven't even pulled the weight here. I have a little. I started an ministry, and it's going and it's growing very slowly. But I don't think. I can't see myself being the president of an organization with 18 other Americans.
Mixed
organization that isn't even the one that God called me to found. I'm like, it's like one at a time, I guess. But I can see myself, hey, here's some advice, here's some thoughts here, but that's not what you need. You need somebody that's beyond advice and thoughts. You need a go-getter.
Yeah, some leader, a real, a guy who stands there. And
You're it. You are it. You're it.
I'm there, but an American there, living there, with an address there, with the board, 4-5 Asian, 3-4 Africans, most of them, Europeans and all that mixed group, but living in US, calling, saying, okay, this is what we are, and we are into 40 countries. We are small, we just started, but we are growing. We have got plans. And I'm looking at people buying into a leader, it all, people have to buy into a leader first before they buy into vision, they say. So
but you're already doing an excellent job. How many people do you already have on board with the whole? Don't you have like 1,000 on there already?
I think in the community we have 300 people right now. From April, that is just, we just
all of your committees and all of your synergy conferences, you have like 300 people, right?
Right now, yes, from all these countries.
That's right.
Yes,
good. That's pretty good.
300.
That's
300.
Good.
We could be growing exponentially. I'm like, I'm sure I'm like, I think we could be looking at 50,000 kind of figure, like in 10 years time.
It'll get there probably.
I think
If that's what
that's the
God's
direction we
mandate
should
is
be.
on you, then I would say it was going to happen.
I think that's the direction. That's the direction we should be going. I mean, like seriously, yeah. So here in India,
I understand what kind of person you need. I really think I do. You're. I don't have any idea if you know. I don't know if you know that kind of person. I don't know. But you need. It's not about how you are doing it, because you're trying to start this same thing in multiple places, and there's only one of you.
Yeah.
that's
So you're wanting a representative,
every
someone
country.
who's
I'm like,
got connections or is capable of building connections. Here'd be an interesting thought is in your different meetings with, Pakistan leaders and Bhutan leaders and India leaders, pray, say, hey, we want to expand into the US, pray with us, have a 5 minutes of prayer for God, bring me supernatural right connections. Because my
Yeah.
whole ministry is built on relational connections. I allowed it to
Yeah.
grow organically, and I am not sad that I did it.
Yeah.
But
It has
you're,
to be that
to
way.
be fair, you're trying to do something different. You obviously can't do it exactly what I did, because you're trying to do something different than what I'm trying to do. But it's still going to take that, relational.
No,
Now,
obviously,
pray for the right
absolutely.
that are going to be
Absolutely.
able to say, I can do this. Yeah, I'm sure you're already
Absolutely.
praying, but get those other groups involved and say, we want the right person that's can do this in the US, be our spearhead there.
Yeah. I think once the committee, see, that was the whole plan of these meetings last month and this month, at least to see that we've got 10, 15, 20 people come for these meetings, so that launch it in January with a bigger number, 40, 50, 60, and then continue to grow. I believe we will slowly get there. I do have some contacts. I also need to tap into in the US. My resume, my CV with YWAM, 15 years with YWAM, also gets me somewhere. My resume with the business, another 10 years, also adds, I believe, a little bit. Also the vision part of 1040, getting Indians involved, and I'm a guy very vocal so much. I put it even on my Facebook. I said I hate taking help from US other day. I don't know if you noticed it, Brother John. Because I'm looking at Indians completely looking to America to give money. I'm sick and tired of it. Seriously, so I'm a voice that is coming out of India seriously because of what God spoke to me, that Indians with Indian money should be doing ministry. I believe that's very relevant and very timely. Changing the trend.
Here's a
completely.
crazy idea. Here's a crazy idea. Sponsor a missionary. Get Regions Beyond. Get people in Pakistan, Bhutan, Africa to sponsor a missionary in America.
Yeah, why not?
I'm completely serious. Pick one. Pick
You.
somebody. And I'm not selling that for me at all. But pick, Mark Baxter or David Brody, or he's not in America, and say we're gonna sponsor. We're gonna all pool together. I don't know. It's just a crazy idea. Crazy idea to go and move in the opposite spirit. Move in the opposite spirit.
See, looking at my city here in Hyderabad, 1/3 of this city is called Cyberabad, which is filled with companies from US, MNC companies. I'm like, every investment, every penny came from outside, and 1.8 million people work, getting paid every month. I'm like, that's what America is. Seriously, and you guys have these campuses globally, I believe. I think you've got
You
campuses.
need Dollar
in
Generals
Sing-
all over the place. You
Huh?
need Dollar General stores all over the place.
Yeah, they're they're into all over the place. Seriously, providing employment, all of that. I said, why don't the Christians take hold of that?
Come on.
Get it.
Hey, y'all, I have to take someone to the airport, so I have to go now.
Yeah. We need to
But,
be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
we
too.
can be.
sorry to cut you off. I do have to go. American
That was
style.
not. It's
The-
nice of you to take them to the airport.
So it's the sudden abrupt ending, the American way. But God bless you both. I gotta
God
take
bless
off
you.
and talk
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
sometime
well done, yeah.
soon, the Lord willing.
Yeah.
Bye for
Somebody
now.
can pray and close it. Us.
Well, I will. Father,
Yeah.
bless them both and give him safe travels to the airport. That's a dangerous job. And I'm glad that he's willing to do it. And bless Jabez that he's staying up all night to finally get some sleep and some rest and get rejuvenated for the mandate that you put on his life. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Stella. Yeah, it is just 2:30 a.m. in the morning here. So, but thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. We'll get back and we'll catch up again. It's a nice
Okay, bye.
discussion. Take care. Good
Goodbye.
night. Good afternoon. Yeah.